Welcome back to the Aro Benaiah Show, where we explore real stories, tools, and truth that help hardworking people build freedom through skill mindsets and smart business. Today's guest is someone who is challenging one of the biggest financial system. Most of us never question the credit card industry. I'm sitting with Tommy Kilpatrick, financial educator, author of Know Your Credit Card Debt, and someone who has spent years uncovering how everyday people can fight back against unfair credit system, from losing everything to finding a new way to financial independence. Tommy's stories isn't just about money, it's about resilience, courage, and taking back control of your life. Once again, it's a pleasure having you on the show, Tommy.
Thank you for having me. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, Tommy, so what was it like growing up for you?
Oh, growing up was very fine. I had a dad, and he was a certified public accountant and a stay-at-home mom. I had two older brothers. So when Vietnam came along, I was on the young side, but I knew where Vietnam was. I was baking cookies and shipping it to my brother who was in the Navy. And I was quite an entrepreneur at 7, so I was always making money and doing business. And then I became a scuba diver at 13, and I was at the dive shop and got a phone call because I was living near Los Angeles, and that's where Hollywood is, and so they needed a couple extras for a movie. We were actually my friend and I were in a scuba movie when we were 14 years old. And at 15, I was actually working as a diver, and I was making $165 a week, when my friends at McDonald's was making about $30 a week. So I graduated early from high school, and I had my own apartment. Had a car payment. I had bought a brand new car, and I was working as an insurance investigator. And then I looked at the guys that were 30, 40 years old, and I said, I just don't want to do the same thing for the next 30 or 40 years. So I decided to go to college and to be a certified public accountant. And even though I didn't ever get the credential, I can do the work. And then graduated and lived a life, married. Then in 2004, I wrote a book on health and healing. And in 2004, I was given an infomercial contract. And so things were going along very well. I lived on my credit cards because I needed to be available for interviews, kind of like this here, on the radio. And 6 months into it, I ran up about $85,000 of credit card debt. And then one of the talents, he got in trouble with the government for making lies in his book. And it came down hard, and so all of our contracts were canceled. So I was left with $85,000 of credit card debt. So that's a quick little story of what happened to me.
Wow, that was really a whole lot of hats you have wear at different time, and yeah, and it's really emotional and a whole lot of things in it. So when you first started digging into this credit card issue, what was the moment that made you say, "Wait, this doesn't add up"?
Right. So I had woken up one morning thinking about my dad being a CPA, and I thought the bank does not have an invoice, so I have no debt with the bank. And then I have a memory because we had to read a book called Modern Money Mechanics in accounting class, and it talked about how banks accept your promissory note, and what they do is they write numbers in your free checking account. So I never signed a promissory note. My father at the time was a judge and attorney, and we taught long conversations about fraud undoes all contracts. So even if you use the card, you have to comply with their terms and conditions, not if there's fraud involved. So I decided on my own to file 3 federal lawsuits against the banks. And things were going along well. We were going to have a deposition coming up where the bank was going to have to send one of their employees to my office to be under oath. And I don't think the bank wanted that to happen. So I got called into court, and the judge said to me, "Mr. Kilpatrick, do you have a credit card?" I said, let me start at the beginning. Oh, we'll start at the beginning a little later. Do you have a credit card? And I went, well, it started off as a gift card. A gift card? Open your wallet up. Pull the card out. Read what it says there. It says credit card. You are an idiot. Get out. So he dismissed all 3 cases. But then that put me back into another depression tailspin. But then a month later, I looked at my credit report. And the most amazing thing is that all 3 banks were off my credit report. My credit score was like 500 and something. It jumped up to like 650 overnight because those 3 accounts were not there anymore. So that's what I discovered is the banks are committing a crime. You were a victim, and I'm a victim's right advocate is what I am.
Wow, wow. Amazing, amazing. There's a whole lot to actually more like get to unpack here. So you claim that many so-called credit card are actually checking account disguising as loan. Can you break that down simply?
Sure. First of all, say I'm a doubting Thomas, so I invite you and your audience to doubt me too. So don't believe a single word I have to say today. I've given you some show notes, so there's some links in there to prove what I'm saying. But take this podcast to your CPA or anyone who's had one class of accounting, and they'll tell you I'm right. The bank does not have an invoice. There was no promissory note. So, and then fraud undoes all contracts. So law is language, and language is law. So if you use the language of the banks, the criminal, you'll never win the argument. So if you say you have credit card debt, you've got it. So what I'm trying to say is you're a victim of this. So there are true credit cards. So this is not a get out of debt scheme, okay? So you need tires, let's say, and you go to a store and you say, it's way too much money, I don't have it. They say, oh, why don't you apply for the in-store credit card and see if you're approved? Well, you are. Great. So you drive away and you didn't pay for those tires. You didn't pay for the service to have them balanced and put on your car. And at the end of the month, you get a statement, which is true, and they have an outstanding unpaid invoice, which is true. You owe the money. Okay, you have to pay that. This is not a way to get out of debt. What I'm saying is that if you go to Walmart or to go to some other store and they put tires on your car, that may not be a true credit card. And so you look at the back of the card, and if it says issued by Bank of America, Bank of London, Bank of Tokyo, Bank of India, Bank of Nigeria, it's not a true credit card because they did not sell you tires. They did not put a service. So they don't have an invoice. So that's my point is they have no invoice. They didn't do a service for you.
So in your search, how do bank actually create money for this card, and what is the biggest misunderstanding people have about that process?
Sure. And this is what they do. So once we clarify that in the years ago, you used to go to a general store. You say, hey, Charlie, I need 5 pounds of flour, a pound of sugar, and I'll pay you later. Oh, yeah. Hey, Charlie, can I borrow $10,000? What am I, a bank? So banks are only about loans, okay? So the bank could never have issued a credit card because they never were a merchant. Now the thing is, how do they do this loan? Okay, so let me ask you a question, Aro. If you apply for a loan and a bank turns you down, do you still get the loan?
No.
No, you don't get the loan. That's stupid, right? But if you do approve, then you go and you fill out loan documents. So this is the important thing. So that when you have no money and you go into a bank, you want to come out with money through a loan. And that's done by loan documents. So you got to prove that you have an income. Because how are you going to pay this loan back? So think about this. The bank is brought into court and a judge says, you're loaning money to people who don't have an income? That's predatory. So the banks have to have you prove that you have an income to be able to pay it back. You also have to have collateral, because what if you don't pay it back? The bank can then take something away from you legally, sell it, and if they come up short, well, that's their problem. If they come up long, they got to pay you back the difference. So this does not work for a house. It doesn't work for a car or a personal loan where you put your yacht up for collateral. So this only works for bank-issued alleged credit card. So all I'm asking your audience to do is add the word allege. So what banks do is you sign a promise to pay it back. Then they write numbers in your free checking account. That's answering your question. How do the banks create this fiat money? Is they have you sign first a promise to pay it back. Then they write numbers. They can write any numbers they want in your free checking account. And that's how you get access to the money. Then you spend it, and that creates inflation. And that's the biggest problem.
Wow, wow.
Go ahead.
That's a whole lot. So what role does Federal Reserve modern money mechanics play in that understanding?
Sure. And all you do is type up modern money mechanics and you'll get the manual. And on page 6, right there on the last paragraph, the second sentence, it says right there, of course we don't loan out depositors' money. There wouldn't be enough. What we do is we accept a promissory note and basically write in numbers in your free checking account. So that's what it's saying. So what the banks do is they advertise to get you to be a customer, okay? And so years ago in America, they would have purchased wall clocks and toasters and had them in the bank. Your mom would go into the bank and they say, oh, if you would fill out a application for open up a new account, we'll give you a wall clock. And your mom's savvy enough, she says, what if I open up two? Can I get a toaster? Of course. So your dad comes home from work, he sees a brand new toaster, a brand new wall clock, knows they don't have the money. How'd you get this? The bank gave it to us. Well, why would the bank give it to you? To be a customer. Okay. So what happened to me is there was an ad in the paper that said if you come into our bank and deposit $25, we'll match it in 90 days. What did I do? I took my 25, put it into my savings account, waited 91 days, went into the bank and withdrew $50 and closed the account. Now I got a question for you. Did I rip off the bank? What do you think? No.
I don't even know how to. I don't,
Was
I
that, was that immoral? Yeah. So is that immoral what I did? Of course not. It's what the bank said. So in my show notes, number 4 is a guy on YouTube that says do that. Go to banks that match this money, and he's made $361. Okay? This is no different than when Capital One gives you a $500 credit card. It's the same thing. This is a gift, just like a toaster, just like a wall clock, or matching funds. The bank is sending you a free gift card to get you to use it. So let me ask you a question, Aro. What would you like to buy if I had Bank of America send you a gift card for $500? What would you like to buy today, right now?
I'll probably get. What would I like to get? I will get some matchings for my industrial cleaning.
Okay, so you went to a store and you'd buy this, right? And when you're walking out, they say, hey, did you pay for this? You have a receipt. Now, you're never going to get a statement from that store saying you owe them money because they were paid. Who paid them that night or the next day? Bank of America, right? Bank of America sent you a card, so they paid the merchant, right? And so you're never going to get, and there's no outstanding unpaid invoice. So that was a gift. So Bank of America sent you a statement and you thought it was a bill. So what did you do? You filled out a check from, let's say, Bank of Nigeria, and you mailed it to Bank of America. That's the first time Bank of America has ever seen your money. So now what has happened is that you have taken $500 and loaned it to Bank of America. In the very first show link, it says right there, that's what happens. You don't make deposits. What you're doing is you're loaning money to the bank. So when you take money out of your hands and give it to the bank, that's a loan. So what happens is you used your checks or your debit card and it went down, and then you decided to put more money in your account. Every purchase since then has been with your own money. So it's not a credit card because the bank has never been a merchant. They couldn't have issued one. It came as a gift card to get you to be a customer. Then once you paid $500 to the bank thinking you had a debt, which you don't, you now funded your own checking account. So every purchase made since then has been with your own money.
Wow, amazing. So you have helped thousands of people with their bank and challenge their allegedly debt. How does this process work in practice?
Well, it's really simple to not get out of debt. This is not a get out of debt scheme. This is you are a crime victim, and the banks worldwide are doing this bank fraud on you. So this does not work for any other kind of loan except for the bank issued alleged credit card. So this is what you do, is you first of all have to have the evidence that you are a crime victim. And what we do is we look at your credit report. So if your credit report says Bank America credit card, there's the evidence. So you can't really go to the police because it's a civil matter, but there are regulations, state and federal, that oversee the banks. So you complain to them. Now you are a crime victim, okay? You send a letter to the bank documenting all of this and that they are committing a crime against you, and you want to close the account and have it said that with good standing. Even though you're late, even all that kind of stuff doesn't matter. Even though it's charge off and stuff like that doesn't matter. You ask the bank to close your free checking account associated with this card, and you also include some extra things that show them what you're up to. And so what that is as enough evidence that you're not going to be easy to win over. And so then what you do is you send all this to the bank, and in 45 days, they're going to close your account, and they're going to report that as closed by consumer in good standing. Now you say, they're not going to do that. That's okay. So after 45 days, you look at your credit report, and it's still there. then what you do is you notify the credit reporting agencies, and by law, they have to remove it off your credit report because it's fraudulent. You have the evidence, you've complained to the federal and state authorities, you've complained to the bank, you've laid it all out, and by law, they have to remove it off your credit report. So then you'll say, well, you'll never get a credit card again. Well, what happened to me is about 13 years ago, the wife said, get out and take the dog with you. So I became homeless on purpose, and I took a vow of poverty. So for 10 years, I was off grid. So I knew I was coming to the Philippines, and I teach farmers how to build dome houses with bamboo and vertical gardening so they don't have to bend over anymore, and set up free medical clinics. So to do this, I wrote a book, Forgive and Forget, How to Nuke Your Credit Card Debt, and that's going to pay for all this. So the whole purpose of that is to get the bank is going to then have you remove that off your credit report. And that's the whole purpose of this thing, is to let the bank know that they've committed the crime, and they have to fulfill the law. And if they don't, the credit reporting agency will take it off. So I knew I was coming to the Philippines, right? And so I needed a credit card. So I applied for a $500 credit card from Capital One, and they gave me, that's the important word, they gave me a $500 credit card. I didn't buy it, I didn't borrow it, gave it to me. So then my score went from zero to, and then how did I get a credit card with a zero credit score, no history? I was a previous customer. Oh, I sued them for $35,000 back in 2004, and they still had me as a good customer. So I'm telling you, the banks want you to be a customer because they make $23 on average per month. So if they give you a $500 credit card, in about 23 months on average, they're going to make the money back. And now you're paying $23 on average every month for a free checking account. So that's what I do, is I'm helping people not get out of debt, but getting out of being a crime victim.
Wow, amazing, amazing. So for someone listening right now who feels trapped in debt, what is the first step you recommend them take?
Sure. Now, this is a debt. So when you say you have a debt, because law is language and language is law. So if you say you have credit card debt, you've got the debt. I can't help you. But if you add the word allege, and now we differentiate it from a true credit card that you actually owe money on, like the tire store, but not a bank. So the bank is committing fraud because they could never have issued a credit card. So that's what we do, is we get you to no longer be a victim. So
Wow, amazing. So going through lawsuits, setback, financial stress, or can be overwhelming. How did you stay mentally and emotionally strong through it all?
yeah, when you take the big chance of suing the bank in federal court too. But I was given false confidence. Once I got in there, I found out that the judge was not friendly. So, but then the end result was the banks removed it off my credit report. So I felt victorious. And then a friend of mine, she gave me a charity. It was dormant, wasn't doing anything. So I turned it into credit repair. And many of the people I had, my clients, had also this bank-issued alleged credit card debt. I would write a letter to the bank, and they would take it off the credit report. Now what I want to do is just have them close the account in good standing. So for people that want to do this, even if they're the first stages, I can help them. Even if they've been sued or they've already got a judgment against them. I had a lady who contacted me just 2 days ago. Her daughter listened to a podcast and said, hey, Mom, this guy might be able to help you. So she listened to it, and right now she's filled out today. She's going to court because she's being sued with a counter complaint. No one ever counter complains with the bank, but she's going to create such a ruckus that I believe in about 10 days they're going to dismiss the case with prejudice. They'll never come after her again. And it will show within about 45 days that she has closed the account in good standing. So this is what I do. I found one podcaster $20,000. So I usually find people money. In her case, I couldn't find any money, but there will be money later on once we get her back on track and she'll have her score back up. So that's what I do. I help
amazing.
people.
Amazing. So what have you learned about financial freedom beyond just money? What does it really mean to be debt-free in spirit and mindset?
Oh, sure. And that's where I can help people who've got debt to get the money to get out of debt. So once you're out of debt, the financial freedom is immense. The fastest way to wealth is through real estate, and you don't have to have money to be able to not necessarily own the real estate, but to control it. So it's not about owning, it's all about controlling. So there are people who are motivated to sell their property and you find their problem and you solve their problem. For example, you might be a gardener and you know that the person you are mowing their lawn for is going to be moving and can't sell the house fast enough. So they leave and you move in and you make the payment to the bank. Okay, that's the deal. But you bring in roommates and enough of them that covers the whole cost and more. So you're actually making money, you're living for free, and over a period of time, that house will be sold and you'll make all the money. Because the person leaving signed it over to you, you just got to make the payments to the bank. There's lots of creative ways. So the best thing to do is find people with a problem and you figure out a solution, and now you're their friend. Another way I look at it is that one person's trash is another person's treasure. I did something for a friend and he was going to give me $20. It wasn't worth $20. Think about something. In the future, you might have some trash that'd be treasure to me. So about a week later, he invited me over and said, here's a pair of gloves. And it's in the area where it's cold in America, so the gloves were very welcomed. And he gave me a bicycle. His daughter, who's now 35, had left the bicycle for 15 years. It's been in his garage, brand new. So he gave me like a $250 bicycle and took me out of poverty, because there's not this third world. It's the old wrong thinking. It's walking is the lowest form of poverty. That was me. The next step up is a bicycle. The next one is a motorcycle. Next one is a car. So that's your poverty level. So he helped lift me out of my lowest poverty level to where I was at a bicycle. So that's what, to encourage people that you don't have to have money to be in control of real estate. So there's lots of different ways that you can do things.
Wow, amazing. So finally, Tommy, what legacy do you hope to leave with your work, and what's your message to everyday workers who is trying to build stability in an unfair system?
Sure. A mind is like a parachute. It only works when it's open. So all I'm asking you and me all the time is to open up your mind. The word love in Hebrew means I give. So that's what I'm here for in the Philippines, is I'm here to give my knowledge of how to build a dome house or structures with free bamboo. It's a grass. It just grows, so cut it. And then after I teach them how to build this, in a matter of 4 hours, you can build an 8-meter dome. And that's done with cutting the stalks to a certain length and drilling a hole in it, because there's no tools needed. Zip ties puts the whole structure together. So one person can put together a 8-meter dome in 4 hours. 4 people could do it in less than an hour. So the whole point is, before I leave, I teach them how to have a business, because someone is going to need a tunnel dome or a round dome, something like a house or a greenhouse or something for the animals. They can put their chickens in it, or rabbits, or whatever they're growing. They can have it protected. So they can do this. All they need is one distance, either the height or the width, and a calculator online tells them how many sticks and all they do is drill a hole. So once it comes to the job site, it's put up. So now they have a business. So when life gives you lemons, they say make lemonade. No, I say make a lemonade stand. So the whole point is to be in business. So take an idea and turn it into, how can I make some money with this? Something free. It's a free revolution we have now. So people all expect the Wi-Fi to be free, free shipping, everything to be free. So this is where I can come freely, share my knowledge with the Filipinos, and they can be turning into a business so they can make more money and be having a better life. So that's my legacy of what did I do in the last few days of my life, is I give, and that means love.
Thank you, Tommy. So Tommy, tell us about how can my audience connect with you, and how can they do business with you, and what platform is better off for doing that?
Sure. It's really simple. Just Tommy A. Kilpatrick on Facebook. That's how the lady contacted me. Very simple. And I have an email. It's in your show notes. So just find me there on Amazon. And I offer a free consultation. So when the lady contacted me and we chatted a little bit, I sent her my $69 book for free. So I'm very more than happy to share the information with people. And people can do it on their own, or they can also have my advice too. So that's the easiest way, is Tommy A. Kilpatrick by Facebook.
Wow, thank you. It's really a pleasure having you on the show. Yeah, Tommy, thank you for sharing your insight, your stories, and your courage to question what people most accepted without a second thought. If today's episode give you something, think about it, share with a friend or coworker who is fighting their own debt battle. And remember, financial freedom starts not with money, but with knowledge and actions. I'm Aro Benaiah. And this is the Aro Benaiah Show. And once again, it's really a pleasure to have you on the show, Tommy.
Thanks so much. See you later.